During my 24-hour live stream marathon, I had the pleasure of having Andy Holloway on from the Fantasy Footballers. Here's that interview right now. Top 5 running back. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. What's going on, Andy?
How's it going, Smitty? Can you see me?
I can see you perfectly. I appreciate
you. I think you can see me. I can't see you, just so you're aware, but I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I appreciate you coming on. We're live, so the hellos, I guess, will be in front of everybody, so it's nice to meet you, sir.
What's up? Happy to join you.
Yeah, you're definitely an inspiration to everybody in the industry, paving the way as everybody follows behind you, and obviously in the podcast space, but in the video space as well, as you guys continue to pave it. We appreciate everything you do, and everybody in here has been excited. We have between 160 to like 200 people roughly in the room at all times. This is hour number 4 of my 24-hour live stream. So,
how are you feeling now? 4 hours in.
I've done it before, so I definitely know what to expect. But I've had a cold, so this hasn't been the best week for me to do it. But I'm not backing out. If I've got to go to urgent care, I'm going to urgent care live. Like it's all it's all a part of it. But you're in Arizona too. Like I am.
Yep.
We're both in Phoenix right now. And in my studio that I built that you can't see, but later on a replay, check it out. But I built it not underneath an AC duct. So it gets hot and sweaty in here, and I'm going to have to change my apparel 2 or 3 times during this show because I did it in February.
We've lived that life. Our original studio was my son's upstairs bedroom, and we put 3 guys inside of it. We took the door.
Short amount of time for us. I want to talk about a topic that we absolutely love to talk about here. And when I do mock drafts, the players I'm about to read off to you, we're going to go rookie running backs. They go like rounds higher than they do in real drafts. David Montgomery has been somebody I've been on top of since January, February, as one of my favorite rookies from this class. And not only that, I think he could be a potential top 20 overall player in hindsight, where you're saying, anybody that drafts really late might take him, I think he climbs into the second round by the end of August here. What are your thoughts on David Montgomery, and what's the highest you would pay for him? Like if he jumped into 18 to 24 overall value in redraft, are you buying David Montgomery at that value?
I mean, it's always tempting, right? When you have these a new player, good situation, high draft capital. Certainly reasons to be excited about what we've seen from David Montgomery in preseason and the opportunity there in Chicago. So I tend to agree with you. I think he's just going to continue to climb up. I mean, we haven't seen him on the field, which maybe protects his ADP a little bit now that they're kind of, I guess, crowned him as that jewel of the backfield. But when you say, I'm probably comfortable with David Montgomery as my running back too. Like if the draft goes that way, I'm probably comfortable with that. So I think there was a time this offseason I wasn't. But Montgomery, Jacobs, those 2 guys right now I'm comfortable with as my running back too. I can't say I'm comfortable with Miles Sanders as my RB2 to start the year, even though I think Sanders will get there. But I think Montgomery is where. Do you have his average draft position for today up in front of you, or where's he going right now?
The third to fourth round. It's kind of all over the place depending on the data you look at. But from sure. my people coming back to me saying, Smitty, I got him in the 3rd or 4th. I got him in the 4th or 5th. I got him in the 2nd. It's kind of all over the map. I think it's nothing settled. But for me, I think on average, I'm hearing everybody in the mid-3rd round is getting him like clockwork. And to me, that's win a league type material. That's like Arian Foster back in 2010 when he was a 4th and 5th rounder when he had top 5 written all over him. I think it's a very, very similar situation. It smells an awful lot the same to me. And in leagues where you can get him at 3.01, I think you're cleaning up because you can get, that Mike Evans or Dalvin Cook type maybe with him. And he's falling. I don't tend to take advantage of him in the 4th and 5th because I'm always grabbing him in the 3rd round. I don't let it.
You're afraid to lose him?
Yeah. So I've never experienced this 4th and 5th round stuff that people are talking about. But I wouldn't be shy to take him at 18 to 22. I just wouldn't if it came to that, and I don't think it will yet. But I would pay that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get into that third category of running backs where, I mean, beauty's in the eye of the beholder a little bit. I have my question marks around Kerryon Johnson. If you take Montgomery at 23 range, that's about where Kerryon's going. So depending on who you like more there, I don't mind you taking Montgomery over Damien Williams. That's another player in that 212 range. I'm a big Chris Carson fan. I would go Chris Carson over Montgomery, but I know I'm kind of outside the norm for some on that. They're pretty much back-to-back in drafts. But it's not like you're not in a tier without question marks, right? And so I think if you're a fantasy owner that's excited about the potential ceiling of Montgomery, there are still problems there, or potential problems for the kind of clear runway for him to, enter into the top tier or near that for running back. I mean, Tariq Cohen gets a lot of work in that offense. Not that they can't both be on the field, but anytime you're a rookie, to me, the risk is mistakes. The risk is fumbling, pass protection, 2-minute drill, clutch situations, things that we haven't seen him do yet, and those are risks that don't exist with certain other players. But I can't argue with the upside of David Montgomery.
You mentioned Damien Williams. So Darwin Thompson is flying up sleeperu.com and the Fantasy Football Show draft board. So when I do a mock with my people, he's going 2 and 3 rounds higher than he should. And we all know it, but we're just watching it unfold every single time. Darwin Thompson, I think, is obviously a must-own and must-cut for Damien Williams owners. But what are you predicting with that situation by, let's say, week 8? Do you think Darwin's starting, and is he absolute gold as a standalone player?
I'm not willing to. I love he's a sleeper on the podcast a couple of days ago. I've watched every preseason snap. I watched the camp videos. I love all the hype, but you're still talking about a player that I don't think Andy Reid and I don't think this offense is looking at it as a kind of binary decision here. I think both players will be involved. I think the versatility Damien Williams brings, the productivity from the end of last year has secured him a spot. So when I look at Darwin, I say, could you get a year the way we got one from Tariq Cohen last year, where you're so heavily involved as this RB2 in a good offense that you represent a year-long value. So by week 8, I don't think, he's a small guy. I mean, if you look at the Chiefs books right now, Damien Williams 224, Darwin's $198, 200.
Yeah, little guy.
He's 5'8", and I don't think that there's any illusion in Andy Reid's mind that, my goal here is to give Darwin Thompson the majority of the work. So I think you pay too much for Damien Williams right now because I think that he's not tenured as a, number one back. He had a really, really incredible, productive end of season, 95% catch percentage, which is outside the normal for his career. So I think he overperformed at the end of the year the same way Derrick Henry did, right? We have a track record of both players that doesn't quite match the way they ended the season. So I think people are overpaying for Williams. I have been happy to see him drop down ADP boards that I'm looking at towards the end of the second. I mean, there was a time when Williams was going in the first round in a lot of drafts.
Yeah.
So I don't think he belongs there. I think Darwin is a player they want to use as long as Darwin proves himself capable on pass protection so they can actually put him in on third down. And, has been very impressive. This talk of goal line work for him is interesting, because we've seen some players that are kind of quote unquote undersized be utilized in that capacity. Danny Woodhead comes to mind as a more undersized player that just had a nose for the end zone. If they're willing to give Darwin opportunities, we know the Chiefs will be around the end zone. So I don't know. I know he's shooting up boards right now. In front of me, I have him in the 10th round. I imagine he's going higher, probably. Where's he going in yours? You said he was going a couple rounds higher than normal?
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that
people are
8th round?
drafting him in like the 7th round in the mocks we do constantly, and I think we might see it similar because I'm not anointing him the starter by any means. I mean, 10 TDs in 6 games, the 4 regular season games, the 2 playoff games. He did not falter. Damien Williams was literally on fire and never ever faltered. Like probably, depending on the stats you look at, probably top 2 or 3 overall for a 6-game span of any running back. So I'm on board with, if you own the duo, you have a top 5 to 10 running back, I think pretty much guaranteed. And so at 3rd round value, Damien's falling, like you said. He used to be a high 2nd at least. Now he's a 3rd rounder. He's a really good gamble. I really like Darwin a lot, though, and he's a must-have. I do own him in a ton of leagues, though, without owning Damien because I just can't resist it.
He's great in best ball. I mean, I drafted him in every best ball league that I've played in this year because why not? I mean, even if he pops off in 3 or 4 games because of that offense, then that's just a home run. Yeah,
and 2 more running backs, and I know you're short on time, but if you want to touch on both of them would be, and we're sticking with rookies, so Devin Singletary I'm also super high on, and then I'd say Mattison
Jacobs
would be...
Mattison.
Yeah, let's talk about Mattison if you want. Jacobs if you want too.
No problem. I definitely Mattison's an interesting case because he really seems to have earned the trust of that coaching staff, and it's not like we have this track record of health with Dalvin Cook. I'm super high on Dalvin Cook. I wrote that 32 bold predictions article, meant to be spicy, but I put Dalvin Cook as that NFC rushing leader candidate because of what I think they want to do in this offense. We have some friends up in Minnesota that have said, look, Cook is in between the 20s. He's the goal line guy. He's going to get passing work. He certainly lines up that way, but at the same time, being Latavius Murray last year was valuable.
Yeah.
Being a complement on a team that wants to run the football is valuable. So you start to look at Mattison, assuming you crown him that backup, which I'm willing to do at this point, and you start to look at him and say, okay, like, could standalone value exist late in drafts? One of my favorite things to say is it's like running back depth looks stupid until it doesn't. You can't have too many late-round running backs and give yourself the opportunity to see what happens. So Mattison has entered that category. He's gone from being kind of an undrafted afterthought to, okay, they like him, and Murray's gone. So he's certainly interesting to me. Who was the first name you mentioned before Mattison?
Devin Singletary, but also Darrell Henderson might be even more important to talk about. I'm not sure how much you're familiar with any of my content, but a lot of the Todd Gurley stuff that I've literally been shoveling out there since January. I feel like his value's climbing back up, but I feel like I've been conducting a train of no Todd Gurley since January, and I'm really high on Darrell Henderson. What are your thoughts on him? And then if you want, Devin Singletary before you got to jump.
Sure. I'm not probably as high on Henderson as you might be. I think Henderson is this interesting situation this year where, regardless of Gurley's health, Henderson could get 5 to 10 touches a game. And what I mean by that is, like, Malcolm Brown is going to be heavily involved. Malcolm Brown sat down in this preseason. He's got this quote-unquote backup role. It's his backup job. And that, to me, means when Todd Gurley needs to rest the knee, when they're up by 2 touchdowns, when he's a little sore, they're going to be totally willing to spend that 4th quarter grinding it out with Malcolm Brown. Now, if Gurley goes out, Malcolm Brown's going to be involved as the starter, but Henderson's role won't change. I think the way that I'm interpreting that situation is Henderson will have a role regardless of the health of Todd Gurley, and then if he does a lot with it, that's when you start to get excited about back half of the season. Gurley has a big issue. Obviously, he's the far more explosive, dynamic player, but still some of those rookie question marks, the way that they've treated Malcolm Brown this offseason makes me hesitant to spend a high draft capital pick on Henderson yet. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, and Singletary?
Singletary, I made a move for him in my Dynasty League. I'm excited about the long-term potential. I'm worried that you might be caught with a complete lack of production for the early part of this year, where loyalties to McCoy, loyalties to Gore, I think they're going to persist until this team feels like it needs to make an adjustment. So my concern would be that Buffalo has success and they stick with McCoy and Gore and you don't get to see enough Singletary. So that would be that's like the worst case scenario, I think. I think the best case scenario is this team realizes that it needs something more dynamic in the passing game. It needs something more dynamic in the running game. It's not going to pay the elder statesman price and continue to bestow carries upon these guys that are truly has-beens at this point, and they move to him sooner. So I don't have a reason to believe right now. Like, we've been speculating on LeSean McCoy being cut for 8 months. I mean, everybody's been saying, oh, maybe they'll do it. Maybe they'll save the money. They have this deep backfield. It doesn't seem like that's happening right now. So at that point, you have to say Josh Allen runs the football a ton. McCoy and Gore are going to be above Singletary in the depth chart. So I look at Singletary as a second-half player for fantasy.
Yeah, and you might sound like I'm high on every single rookie. I'm not high on Jacobs. I'm not high on Singletary. I'm high as far as receivers go on Deebo Samuel. I think this year is going to be pretty good for a rookie.
Sure.
And I think he's going to be an absolute, next Anquan Bolden meets Steve Smith. I really like him a lot. I like N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, that's a good comp.
But Henderson, I think this running back crew, this rookie running back class is loaded with those players that later on, they don't look like the Zeke Elliott's. We're going to have 2 or 3 potential top 15 running backs for the future in fantasy from this running back class. Could be
right. Definitely. I mean, rookie running backs can make their mark, that's for sure.
Yeah.
More than rookie wideouts do.
Yeah, real excited about this class. But, hey, Andy, I know you got to jump, so I just wanted to say thank you for coming on and keep doing what you're doing, man. You guys are doing some big things. You keep getting bigger, and everybody here was real excited to have you jump on and just, appreciate you.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me, and good luck with the remaining 20 hours of your endeavor, sir.
20 hours and 27 minutes, to be exact.
Stay cool, okay? Stay cool.
Yeah, I got to change. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks so much.
Thanks,
Take
Andy.
Care.
So that was cool of Andy to stop by. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Interesting to hear his take on some of those rookies that we might be a little bit higher on. Top 5 running backs. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show.